So I know people don't like this, but we're gonna talk about New Zealand today. New Zealand, who pretty much dealt with the coronavirus in a whole different way than other countries have, and now they have this. While the United States, we've been battling over $15 an hour for like a few years now. It hasn't been like out of nowhere that this $15 an hour number came from. And like it's been a fight for a long time to try to get this in the federal level. Meanwhile, New Zealand is like on this likes to troll us. And New Zealand raises minimum wage and increases taxes on the rich. This sounds like something that we've been like scratching the wall over for the past few years, and they just passed it. And they raised their wage to guess what it is, $20 an hour. $20 an hour.
Is that the equivalent like USD?
Huh?
Is that the equivalent to USD?
It's a rise
US
of
dollar?
I believe so. This is the US dollar. Cause I have a comparison. We're gonna do so in 2020, unions called for increased living wage for 22.10 for those in the front lines. So pretty much it says the usual things like we say, like New Zealand continues to struggle with child poverty rates and housing costs and all the different things that modern state struggles with. Then they also pushing for that 4-day work week, all kinds of things. So this has been a fight for a long time in New Zealand as well. This didn't come out of nowhere in New Zealand as well. It's been like a fight for unions and workers' rights for a long time there. So like I want to. So at the same time, people say, "Oh, United States is not like New Zealand. Like, isn't it a bunch of white people who live there and stuff like that? Is it just more homogeneous? It's not dealing with all the racial stuff and the class stuff and those kind of things. And like, and
No,
that's
they
why
do. No, they
yeah,
got
exactly.
those issues over
That's
there.
why I want to share this next thing, the New Zealand and United States battle, because a lot of times people see New Zealand as this magical place that like is way better than us and it has no problems. In reality, it has a lot of fucking problems.
Yeah, and their right wing political party is very, very unhappy right now. Let me
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah. So from the past, that shows that they're able to. It's not. So I want to share this kind of comparison, little dorky comparison, Doc. So like United States versus New Zealand. So just like United States, some white people showed up and saw some brown people and said, can we have this place, without your permission, and that went down, and so pretty much, um, and New Zealand is not as white as you think it is because of that. Um, you can see this composition is pretty interesting. I think there's actually more black people in this, but there is more white people in the United States than in New Zealand. There's an indigenous population there that totally no one talks about in the media all the time. That's like higher percentage than the black population here in the United States when it comes to like the percentage wise. So it's not this a homogeneous population. It deals with race issues, class issues in New Zealand. They also have a way lower GDP than us. I mean, they have a GDP that's like compared to like some state in the United States. The United States is like number one. New Zealand is like 43 or some crazy on the list. So the fact that they're able to push through for a $20 an hour wage, for something that they have way less money than us, and they still believe that that's necessary for their people to like be happy. So I just want to show that for New Zealand, to show that it's not just a perfect composition that people think it is, just like where they film Lord of the Rings and that's it. So it's actually a complicated country with a lot of issues, and they push forward with this higher minimum wage, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so hopefully we can do that here, but it seems like people rather not do that. People rather get paid less and work harder. So
Yeah, again, it really does not surprise me at all because look at the way that they approach the Rona. And they, if you listen to some of the interviews that some of the New Zealand based UFC fighters have given, they have to have like these super strict protocols just to be allowed back into the country. I believe one fighter was, because of some weird scheduling snafu, he had to wait 6 weeks to be able to get back into his country and see his family. But once you actually get to New Zealand, they've been living mask free, and almost from the very very beginning, their lockdown was super super short, and they have not suffered the way that the most of the rest of the world has suffered. So some of the right wing groups there are upset because they feel like, well, they're shoehorning in these left wing economic policies, and using their success against the Rona as
Yeah.
a way to convince people to support policies that they don't think will actually work. So I'm very interested in seeing long term how these economic policies affect the country, because every single time we hear from poor people that will be hurting the rich if the poor people are lifted out of perpetual misery, some rich guy says, well, I did not give myself more money, and instead I gave my employees more money, and our business did better, and we didn't lay anybody off, and we're turning a higher profit because our productivity is better.
Yeah.
And then the poor people are like, but if you give poor people more stuff, then they'll be less miserable. We can't allow that. That doesn't work. That means that the rich people are going to forget about us. And it's like,
Forget about it.
and then it's like, no. And then another rich person steps up and says, no, actually, the workplace is a better place to work, and we make more money when people are not worried about whether or not they're going to be able to pay their rent at the end of the month.
And it's been
And
the
they don't have to
weirdest.
choose between gasoline, which is food for their car,
Yeah.
and food for their bellies.
Yeah, and that's been a weird part of this like whole minimum wage thing. It's been like you go on social media and you see like people who are not millionaires, who are not homeowners, who not any, trying to convince other people that minimum wage, high minimum wage doesn't work. It's like, okay, why are you spending the time to do this? So
It's weird too. It's weird too. A lot of these people are like, well, I don't want the minimum
especially
wage
with
to
the
go up.
Amazon stuff that's happening. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people are like, well, I already make $15 an hour, so if the burger guy gets $15 an hour, then people will look at us like we're on the same level. That's not exactly how it works, because if it's easier to just work at McDonald's
yeah,
than somebody who has marginally more skill than them, the person that's complaining about the
yeah,
rising minimum wage,
yeah.
your wage wouldn't stay at 15. They'd have to be more competitive. They can't. Your company is not going to sit there and say, well, minimum wage is $15. We're already paying you $15. Go fuck yourself. They're going to be like, well, we don't want to be known because we don't want to be known as a minimum wage paying company, because then we can't attract talent. So then they're going to have to raise your wage. So you don't have to worry about the burger flipper getting $15, because you'll go from 15 to 25.
Well,
But we don't want to have that conversation.
well.
Let's see what New Zealand does,
We're
and then
too
you
bad
can
because
you can be mad about what they get.
exactly too bad because there's gonna be burger flippers in New Zealand making more than you. So that's so maybe we should do something about that.
With
Maybe we
better
should do something
ingredients
about
too.
that. Yeah.
They're flipping better burger patties and getting paid more money to do it, and their quality of life is better, so the food tastes better and the customer service is better, and then people are happy to patronize that business, so they go there more often, which makes the company more money.
Yeah.
But you don't want to have that conversation, though. No.
No, not at all. No, I'd rather get paid $7 an hour to do carpentry work. So that's Black Power Magic Hour on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. On act.tv, we're approaching over 48,000 subscribers. And Dr. Genius, he's live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Discord. And that's, I guess, some good news, some good global Earth news. So hopefully we can get that news here too at some point.